I love Riesling, but navigating German Riesling can be really hard. I think the labels are one reason that it is just not more popular in the US today. They're so hard to decode. I am here to help though. Stick around for tips on how to understand those labels and make great Riesling choices for today and to drink 40 years from now. I will be 90 years old in the year 2060 and I will be drinking a German Riesling and I will be doing a video for you on that. Welcome back to DrinkinItIn. I am your host, Chris Casara. We are here to help you know more and drink better, and today we're talking about wine labels from Germany. Because German Riesling wine labels pack in a ton of information, but do you really need to know all of it? I think there are four key things that you really need to focus on. Region, producer, ripeness level, and sweetness. So we're gonna go through all of these right now. And so the next time you see all these things on a label, you'll be able to make a good choice. So region is important because it's important to know the characteristics of the bigger region. It's going to increase your chance of success when choosing a bottle, as you might gravitate toward loving one or two regions as opposed to all 4 or 5 that I'll mention. I'm not quite there yet. I do have favorites, but I still am exploring virtually everything in German Riesling. I'm going to break down the individual regional characteristics in detail in a bit. Producer's important, right? The terms that you see on some wine labels, not this one, you'll see Weingut, which means winery, and Schloss, which actually means manor house. Those are two common terms, but nothing to be concerned about, right? Just winery or manor house. Chateau, think of it like chateau. Just like anywhere else in the world though, if you find producers you like, stick with them, seek them out, and keep exploring those. Ripeness level is super important. And more I think about it, I probably should have talked about this one first. You have 3 terms that you really need to understand: Kabinett, Spätlese, and Auslese. I created a table to kind of walk through the different ripeness levels of grapes, and we'll go through that as well, and that'll help. Sweetness indicator, if it's present. It's great when Riesling producers put the International Riesling Foundation scale on bottles to let you know what to expect. It's a really simple scale, dry, sweet, or somewhere in between. But it's not too common yet, especially in Germany. So naturally, if you see that, great, but you probably won't get the benefit of it. I think vintage and vineyard are good to understand, but not something that I place a big weight on when purchasing. And here, I'll tell you why. Vintage. So vintage is the year the grapes were harvested, right? Basic. It can be important if you are really trying to be strategic when stocking your cellar with Rieslings, but it just isn't a focus for me. And essentially every vintage since 2001 has been rated over 90 points by the Wine Spectator, with the exception of 2013, which was an 89, so not far off. The bottom line is the quality is great year over year over year. Hopefully I didn't just jinx the German Riesling folks. Certainly you can stock up when the rating is like 97 or 98, like 2001, 2005, and 2009 were. As these Riesling wines can age for 30 or 40 years. But just if you simply focus on the key 4 tenets that I called out earlier, in any vintage, you're gonna be fine. Vineyard, if you're knowledgeable about vineyards in Germany that produce Riesling and have favorites, then I don't even know why you're here. I mean, continue to watch. I love having you here, and I could use the views. Clearly an LOL. If there's a vineyard designation, that tends to be a good thing, right? Because it just means that the producer was more focused in sorting the grapes, but it's not a deal breaker, right? This guy happens to have a vineyard designation on it, but that's not the only reason I bought it. So let's take a look at a real label and break it down. So this label, let's start with, it says Gunther Steimetz. That's the producer. He is one of Lyle Fass's favorites, and as I drink more of his wines and more of the wines that I buy from fastselections.com, I can see why. Some bigger producers that you may run into are Donhoff, Dr. Lucen, Fritz Haag, Jojas Prum. Jojas is an abbreviation for Johann Josef, I believe it is. So, but Johjos is what you'll see on the label. Nick Weiss, Schloss, Johannesburg, and Von Winning. Those are all wine producers that I've had really great experience with thus far, and I see a lot on shelves. All right. Piers Porter Gold Tropfen. This is the vineyard. Okay? This vineyard located in the Mosel region. I'm also familiar with Wellener Sonnenher, another vineyard that I've seen before, but not much beyond those two for me yet. Riesling is the grape. These bottles will say Riesling. Cabernet. Now Cabernet, this is the ripeness level at harvest, okay? Cabernet wines are the least ripe grapes at harvest time. So this wine shouldn't be very sweet. I think all Rieslings have some sort of sweetness in them, but this will be much more on the drier side. So let's talk through regions. Mosel. So this is the region in Germany. It's super important. So let's dive into the details. Like I was saying, I didn't say that all Rieslings have high acidity. All Rieslings have high acidity. They are very aromatic, right? Citrus, stone fruit like peach, apricot, and I always get like a wet slate tasting note. They also have some minerality. But each of the regions in Germany have a distinct personality, so it's worth understanding the nuances. Mosel. This is the most well-known region for prestigious Riesling. The wines here are on the delicate side. They're light-bodied. They tend to be lower alcohol. I mean, this guy is 8% alcohol by volume. I mean, that's crazy. You can drink the whole bottle and maybe not even feel tipsy. So like I said, delicate, light-bodied, low alcohol, high level of acidity, and some sweetness. Really nice balance. Wines from the Pfalz, right? The Pfalz is sunnier than most spots in Germany, so it's a bit, think of it almost like the California of Germany, right? So the Riesling here is going to take in that extra sun. It's going to be more voluptuous in texture. Think of wines that'll be a little more ripe and fuller bodied relative to Riesling, not in general. The Rheingau, I find that the acidity here is a bit lighter with a more full body than the Mosel. These wines are pretty well structured, and I feel like they're certainly built for the long term. You can age them for a while. Nahe. I believe it's pronounced Nahe, N-A-H-E. It's a small region. The weather is cooler. Its location is between the Mosel and the Rhine-Hessen, which we'll get to in a moment. Because of the region's reputation, I think the region's reputation is mostly due, or popularity is mostly due to Donhoff. But other than that, it's very underrated, right? The wines here are usually really well priced, so they can be explored with very little risk. The wines from the Nahe have more minerality than most. This is also one of the spots where I find some floral aromas in my Riesling. Worth noting, I don't know if that's just me, but definitely something that I've seen in a few of the Nahe bottles. Lastly, the Rheinhessen. This is the largest wine region in Germany, certainly by geography and production levels. Think of these wines as almost like a blend of the delicate wines from the Mosel and the lusciousness of the Pfalz. Because it's more recent that the quality of the wines here have come up, right? They used to do a lot of bulk wines. You just have to be more selective when in the Rheinhessen. All right, let's go into the ripeness levels. I said this is probably the most important thing to understand. To help out, I've put together a simple table, and let's go through it now. So we've got Cabernet Cabernet. We're gonna start with Cabernet. Cabernet is the least ripe grapes at the time of harvest. So what that means is the result is wines that are dry to off dry, right? There is a little sweetness in the wine, but they are not sweet. They don't go to the other end of that scale. Spätlese, these grapes are harvested pretty late. And because they're picked later, right, that means there's more sugar and sweetness in the grapes. So what does that mean? That means you're not gonna get dry wines from here. You're gonna get off dry to medium sweetness levels. The Auslese, these grapes are hand selected, very ripe, later than the Spätlese grapes. So these wines are gonna continue to veer towards the sweetness level, medium to a sweet profile. There are a couple of others that are in the table. Beeren Auslese, these are hand-selected grapes when they're overripe. These wines, as you may assume, or as you may be gathering, right, very sweet. These are dessert wines. If you see them, don't expect to be drinking them as a regular Riesling wine, right? They are going to be sweet. They should be had with some cheese and some dessert. So what are some other things that you may want to consider to become an expert and go really deep? I think you can focus on seeking out wines with the word Trocken. Trocken is sort of like it's like a little cheat code. It's something that says, it indicates that the wine is going to be dry. If you see Trocken, it doesn't matter if the wine is Cabernet or Spätlese, it's going to kind of have a drier profile with reduced sweetness. Let's switch to classifications for a moment. I think it's good for you to become familiar with the VDP quality levels. I'm not going to try to pronounce the products widely. I'm not going to enunciate VDP. I'll put it in the notes. Some producers have started to use this system, and you'll see a little eagle on the label at the top of the on the top of the band here. This doesn't have it, but you'll see an eagle if they're using the VDP classification. If you see the term Grosses Gewach or GG, that indicates the wine it's a dry wine from a classified vineyard. So you can almost envision, what I think they're trying to do here in Germany is create a bit of a classification system that's similar to Grand Cru Burgundy, but for Riesling, right? But the bottom line, you see GG or Grosses Gewachs in there, always dry, always very serious, and usually always kind of expensive. I think it's worth running through the quality pyramid from the bottom up, GG being at the top. Bottom level, Gutswein. Think of that as a house wine. You see that on a label, just a house wine. Ortswein, that means it's a local vineyard wine, a little more selective. Erstlage, this means first sight and higher quality. And then the GG or Grosslage, great site, again, great site, great reputation, great wine. If you made it through this whole video so far, thank you so much. I'd encourage you to hit that little subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me, and you'd get a lot more videos from this, like this. The terms to really understand, I want to reinforce the Trocken term. We covered it before, but if you see that wine, if you see that on a wine label, it's going to mean it's dry, low residual sugar, crisp acidity. There are some other terms worth understanding, a little more common, I think, than Trocken. So you have Halbtrocken or fine herb. That means the wine is off dry, so think some sweetness, but generally with a nice balance to the acidity. I think that's all I have. It's a lot. There's a lot going on in here. When in doubt, ask your wine shop for a Cabernet Trocken or a GG Riesling. They're dry, they're structured, they're incredible with food. I love them with sushi. German Riesling, it doesn't have to be a mystery, right? With just a few key terms, right? You can shop like a pro. You can make great decisions when buying Riesling and really zero in on what you like and what you might want to cellar for when you're, in 2000 what? 2025, in the year 2060. I will be 90 years old in the year 2060, and I will be drinking a German Riesling, and I will be doing a video for you on that. So if this video helped you better understand German Riesling, leave a comment for me. I'd love to know your favorite producers, and subscribe for more wine wisdom. Thanks so much for joining, and I will see you guys soon.